I think first of all, I heard so many helicopters above my house, so I was like, okay, are they going to land on my roof?
Like, they could have stopped the lawmakers from jumping the fence. It's not that difficult. They could see that there was an ajushi, kind of going on top. It's not exactly like, but they knew that, apparently the big commanders, saying, you do your job, but the bottom was like, we're not really going to do it. Because everybody was like, this doesn't make sense.
At first, I actually didn't believe it because I got contacted by my friends and they told me I shouldn't go outside. So I was like, what are you talking about? Why can I not go outside? And they were like, yeah, there's like some political issue going on. And I was like, what issue is going on? And they were like, the martial law was declared. And I was like, huh? Since that happened, it's been such a long time, right? And I was also not sure why it was declared. So I was just trying to look up information online and see what really happened. And yeah, then I was following a live stream actually because I wanted to see what was happening in real time. So I didn't sleep until like 5 a.m. I think, until I was like quite sure that it was lifted. I was just like sitting at home like, what should I do?
Well, my phone was down and then I was asleep. So
I was sleeping.
I didn't. I
didn't know till the next day. So it was actually a very stress-free
evening.
Yeah.
To be honest, I woke up to a message from my mum and I was like, what's going on? Why is she worried? Because she just said like, call me immediately. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was something to do with my family. And then I looked at the news and then I was like, right, something like this happened.
The first thing I do in the morning is social media. And my father is also very much into knowing what's happening in the vibe, in the news and stuff. So he had already seen that it had gone and not worked.
But I guess because it was afternoon over there.
Exactly.
Like in England.
So they had already seen it all.
Yeah, whereas we were on the tail end, not really clued in.
Yeah, my father was like, oh, good to see that it didn't go through. Have a good day. It was kind of like, okay. I think the world is such a mess that he wasn't too shocked.
I understand.
In a way.
I think my mum was worried, but then for me, by the time I'd actually looked it up, it had already been resolved, more or less.
Exactly.
Or had been wrapped up. So I was like, oh, I guess it came and went without me knowing.
Yeah, when I first heard it, I saw it in like a Kakao chat. Because I don't watch TV, so I didn't know what was going on. And I was looking through the group chats and I realized that it's something like important. Because I didn't know the terminology in English, so I had to go and check like what it meant, what can mean, what can happen. So I was a little worried. Honestly, I think it was really late, right? It was like 11 p.m. or something. I think I was doing my skincare. I was getting ready for bed and everyone is like, oh, this is going on. I'm like, what? I did my research on Google. I asked ChatGPT everything. I'm like, ChatGPT, what does that mean? So I was like learning about it and explaining it to my friends, to those who doesn't know.
Well, the thing was, I'm pretty active on Instagram. So when it happened, I just uploaded a story on Instagram and I was like informing my people in Belgium what was happening. So a lot of people kind of already knew that I was safe and it was more like the issue involving the president. So they were just like wondering like what is going to happen next and like, is it going to be sustained? My friends were okay. They were more worried about the country than about me.
Well, they were voting at 12 a.m. Yeah, it was very... Honestly, when I first saw it, I kind of started getting goosebumps. Like, okay, that was a really close call. The fact that you wake up the next morning saying, good morning, everybody. There was almost a military coup yesterday.
Yes.
The power could have completely changed. But yeah, everybody just go to work as normal, have a good day. And the thing is, it was kind of weird being, because I work in the office, being at the office and everybody's like, okay, are we working? Like, are we doing life, continuing as normal? Or are we just like going to, everybody was like, okay, are we going to die?
No, I did see a lot of my office worker friends had posted on their stories and they were definitely saying like, is this meant to be proceeding? Like, I guess I am going to work then.
It's like
no day off.
Yeah, the snow days, everybody kind of cancelled this because of the huge snow.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be like a huge catastrophe and everybody would be at home.
Well, you would think.
Yeah, and I was just there sitting at the office like, and morning meeting, what are we doing today? And I'm like, okay.
I think because we already have the North Korea situation pending, that's already pretty serious now. So maybe they just took it on the chin and were just like, well, it's done, I guess.
it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened for like 40 years. It's actually insane. When you actually look at it, the chances of it actually having happened was like... Yeah, it's so crazy actually.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of messages and I had to like explain to them. At one point it got really difficult, so I made like a voice note. Everyone, I'm fine. This is what's going on, just so you know. I saw like a post on Insta that it was like me explaining martial law to my family and friends for 2 days. Everyone is like that, I think. I was getting calls from my family, my friends. Yeah, but then they were worried about me, so...
I guess the protests, the way in which people rallied like so quickly, I guess that was impressive, if I'm gonna say.
Okay, so it got enacted. Honestly, I was quite surprised that the military agreed, so that they actually said we will agree to the command, because it was just so outrageous and sudden, and he didn't say, you know, this is a war situation, for example, we are being attacked and this is why we're doing this. It was just like, I'm doing it
Because.
And it was so, for me, I think even the soldiers, which are one of the reasons that it didn't go through, because they didn't actually storm in and stop the voting, right? Like, they could have stopped the lawmakers from jumping the fence. It's not that difficult. They could see that there was an ajushi, you know, kind of going on top. It's not exactly like, but they knew that, you know, apparently the big commanders, you know, saying you do your job, but the bottom was like, we're not really going to do it, because everybody was like, this doesn't make sense. So really it was stopped by the lack of belief of it being martial law, because everyone's just like, even the soldiers are there like, I don't really know.
It was just really unfounded, I don't know.
No, but imagine for the grannies, and I'm getting goosebumps again, but imagine the grannies and grandpas, or the people that have seen a revolution, that have seen all of this progress. I think for that generation, it must have been the most traumatizing, reliving that experience. And it's
I didn't even think about that, but that's quite true.
Think about it. You lived through the whole revolution, and then you fought, and you saw people die, and you saw before there was this whole structure and human rights and stuff, and then this has been reinstalled where the media is controlled. You can go to prison without anything, just for speaking out against the government. And they're just like, how can one man have so much power?
I feel like people do forget though how short the history of like modern Korean life is, in my opinion. Because what, in the last 70 years?
40 years.
40 years.
No, it's 40. It was like 1980s. It
Huh?
was
Okay,
was
from that,
1980s.
but then also just from the war, even.
Oh yeah,
between
that's
the two.
1960.
Yeah, so there
yeah.
are people who have lived that entire timeline and are still alive now.
It's just...
And just the landscape of the country changing so much in addition to like the historical out.
And it just reminded me how Korea is like a really democratic country, and they care about their laws, and they care about their people, and they're still out there protesting. They care about their country so much. They're like really proud, and made me feel safe at least, yeah.
I think first of all, I heard so many helicopters above my house, so I was like, okay, are they going to land on my roof? But then I knew like the army got sent to the parliament, right? And then I also saw that some soldiers were like trying to stop the protesters, but they like hold their hands up. Or I even saw like a soldier hugging a protester. I saw a video of that, so I was like, oh, they are also just like there because they have to be there. They're like following their job obligations. So I kind of felt a little bit sad about that. Yeah, and I was also very impressed by the Korean spirit and like everybody protesting directly. I was like, yes, 민주주의. I think like Korea has a very strong democracy. I think like Korea has a lot of peaceful protests as well, right? So I think it's really nice that they also allow the people to protest and they don't see it in like a bad way, because like it can be a little bit hard for people to stand up for their rights. But now I see like even singers like singing songs, and like they had the light sticks and stuff. So it's kind of fun how they incorporate like the Korean like music culture as well. So yeah, I'm really proud of the Korean people actually. I hope there will be no more martial law in the future. I don't want the freedom to be taken away from us.
Well, the thing is, we can't protest. Actually, us going to protest is illegal, and we will be deported. It's actually illegal for foreigners to protest and participate in political activity. It's something like all we can do is talk about it and kind of, you know, support our Korean friends who are kind of there and protesting.
Emotionally, I guess. Yeah, emotional support.
Millions there. in a way I think also reminding the Korean people what they can do together, because it's insane. Sometimes I was sitting there and I'm like, I don't think people understand how close it was to an actual martial law being enacted. I
don't know if some people actually realised the severity. I was speaking to a few of my even foreign friends and they were like, what was all that about? And I was like, this is very serious. I was like, I just don't know. The whole military was about to completely just take over, and you don't want that. Like a dictatorship, you don't want the military power just having absolute say over everything. That's not a position anyone wants to be in.
It's so serious. It was such a serious thing. You were about to become a dictatorship.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that. America didn't know about it. Like the Americans were like, we don't know what's happening. If it was North Korea, the Americans would know about it first. They have the knowledge. If the military had actually listened and blocked the entrance of Parliament, which they were blocking, there we would be
extracted, hopefully.
2 hours. No, it's like it's 2 hours.
Hopefully I would have been extracted and back in England.
But that's the thing, we have a way out.
I know, but for the people living here, imagine your existence just under that rule. No, it's insane.
That's the thing. Like, of course, people wouldn't take it easily.
Well, you haven't got a choice. That's the whole.
That's the thing.
That's the whole scope of a dictatorship.
Thank you for saying, like, encouraging emotionally. I really
No,
appreciate that.
I'm so happy that the humans, to be honest, I'm not talking about the government as humans. Let's refer to them as government, that the humans below the government saw this and didn't comply to what they were told to do. The military did not use as much force as they could have. They allowed the vote to go through, and that is actually so incredible because they made that decision. The soldiers standing there made the decision to let those lawmakers go through. Fire extinguishers and chairs don't stop a man with a gun. I know that every man in South Korea, but they had guns. They could have stormed it in and literally said, this is not going to happen. And they had the command to do that. The fact was that South Koreans, the military, the people were like, they were protecting their own, and they saw each other as people. They weren't looking at everybody and, trying to attack. They were like, you are a fellow human. This is a weird situation. I'm going to do my job slightly, but let's all keep within reason. And that is like such an impressive and incredible sign of humanity, and even the protests and everything that people are showing, I'm like, yeah.
이렇게 민주주의를 위해 온몸을 던진 한국인들의 모습을 우리는 기억해야 할 것입니다. 하지만 나라를 지켰던 영웅의 안타까운 소식도 있는데요. 세상이 외면한 삶, 당신은 어떻게 기억하시겠습니까? 한 어르신이 무거운 리어카를 끌고 도심의 길을 걷고 있었습니다. 리어카 위에는 고단한 하루를 이어가기 위해 모아온 폐지와 박스들이 빼곡히 쌓여 있었습니다. 그분이 사는 집은 마치 시간이 멈춘 듯 했습니다. 곳곳이 낡고 고철과 폐지들이 가득한 공간은 쉼터보다는 버려진 창고 같았습니다. 게다가 집에는 화장실조차 없어 그는 매일 공용 화장실을 찾아야만 했습니다. 하지만 그분의 이야기를 듣게 된 순간 우리의 시선은 달라졌습니다. 그는 대한민국을 위해 청춘을 바치고 전장에서 싸웠던 참전용사였습니다. 그는 국가를 지켰던 영웅이었지만 지금은 아무도 찾지 않는 쓸쓸한 삶을 살고 있었습니다. 그런데 어느 날 이 소식을 접한 한국 기업이 그를 찾아가 이렇게 이야기합니다. 우리는 당신을 혼자 두지 않겠습니다. 그들은 그와 함께 밥을 나누고 폐지를 모으며 그의 고된 하루를 함께 걸어보았습니다. 한국 기업 인프레쉬, 이들은 그에게 후원금과 식비를 전달하며 그의 삶에 조금이라도 온기를 더하려 했습니다. 그리고 여기서 멈추지 않았습니다. 그들을 기억하고자 하는 움직임은 더 넓게 퍼져나갔습니다. 그들의 이야기가 더 많은 사람들에게 전해지길 바라는 마음으로 새로운 방법을 고민했습니다. 그렇게 탄생한 것이 참전용사들의 서명이 담긴 태극기 키링이었습니다. 해당 키링은 역사적 상징이 담긴 태극기를 녹여낸 것으로 키링의 판매 수익금 일부는 참전용사들에게 전달되고 있으며 구매자들의 이름은 감사 메시지와 함께 전해지고 있습니다. 저 역시 이 키링을 늘 곁에 두며 그들의 희생을 기억하고 있습니다. 구매 링크는 고정 댓글에 남겨두었습니다. 여러분의 작은 관심이 더 큰 기적을 만들어냅니다. 그들의 희생과 헌신을 기억하며 함께 따뜻한 마음을 나눠주세요.